Welcome back to our October edition of Earthways. I'm Karma, your teacher, and I am here to talk today about Samhain. Samhain, spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N. A lot of people refer to it as Samhain. That is an incorrect pronunciation. The Celtic pronunciation of this holiday is Samhain. Samhain is our last and final harvest holiday of the year. And Samhain is where we would take and look at taking stock of everything in our world. We would be looking at how much food did we bring in during the summer? How much food did we bring in this last harvest? How much do we have, and putting it aside carefully. Now, we're putting things away, and for a lot of us, this seems like a really strange concept, because for us, it means putting away, the food from the grocery store. But from our ancestral roots, we remember that we were putting up food for the entire winter. We had to carefully store everything that we had brought in from the fields and then take stock at what we need for the winter. Now, we had to take into account any new babies being born. We had to take in the caloric needs for every single person in our household and carefully calculate these. Don't think our ancestors didn't know a bit about math. And then we looked at how much can we set aside for the animals. We usually had some kind of milk-producing creature, whether it was a cow, a goat, maybe several. Perhaps they spent all summer and they were breeding and we had plenty. But what we may or may not have plenty of is food to sustain them for the winter, because once the snow falls, well, we're eating basically just what we've put aside. So for Samhain, this holiday is known for a couple of things. One, it's the killing times. And the frost is in the air, literally killing off any other food source that we had. And we had to take a good hard look at which animals needed to go and which would stay behind, that we had resources to feed and house and take care of for the coming spring and new babies. So it was known as the killing season because as meat eaters, we would harvest from the animals and put that meat aside as well. So the final harvest holiday was the harvest of the creatures, the killing of the animals, the sacrificing of their lives for our food source. And the ones that remained, the second aspect of this holiday is protection. They would be driven through the bonfires that were held, and they would be blessed and protected for the winter time, so that the ones who did remain could remain disease-free, accident-free, and move forward to be able to feed us and have babies and produce milk for the next coming spring, summer, and fall season for the following year. Now, this was also a bonfire holiday, again, running the animals through the smoke of that bonfire. The bonfire was also to let go of the parts and pieces that were no longer necessary. And so any of the chaff, any of the stalks of the corn or the wheat that were basically piled up after we have carefully put things aside would all be piled and then burned at this Samhain holiday. The other thing that we remember at Samhain is our ancestors. And this is going to be covered in a later topic of the Ancestor Remembrance. This Ancestor Remembrance piece is huge. And the reason that we remember our ancestors is because the veil at Samhain, that veil between the living and the dead, is at its thinnest. So we welcome them to come sing and dance and play. And a lot of what will happen at Samhain, after, of course, the food and around the fire, would be the passing of the chalice and the horn. So this is a drink, usually mead or wine, and there would be a toast raised. And it would sound something like this: "Hail to Carol Bickert, second mom, the one who taught me how to pull up my big girl panties and just get stuff done." So we would be remembering those who have gone before us, those who have touched our lives, those who we carry with us in our hearts that we want to remember and give homage to. And so Ancestor Remembrance is something that was very much something we do at Samhain. You see this still in the celebrations in the military. The military balls are usually held about this time of year, and you see the dumb supper table where we honor the ancestors or the other soldiers who have fallen in the line of battle or had gone missing. So this time of year, also celebrated in the Hispanic culture of Dia de los Muertos, all across humanity everywhere, there is a day of celebration and remembrance of the dead, and it typically falls in this harvest fall holiday. And so Samhain would be celebrated, again, with feasting, family, bringing the tribe together, running the cattle through the blessing fires. And then we would hunker down in our homes. This is truly the season that marks the dark time of the year. Now, the dark time of the year does begin at the autumnal equinox and move forward, but Samhain is when we really start to feel the days grow shorter and the nights grow longer. I'm sure you've experienced that over the last few weeks where you were like, wow, when did it get dark so early? And so Samhain is the time where we would also bid farewell to our ancestors. We would say goodbye to them, and we weren't always assured we would say hello again when Yuletime came around. Because just like anything, cold and flu season happens. Elderly people tend to get sick. Not just elderly people, anyone really. And there were times where we would really deeply appreciate those who were in our lives. Samhain is one of them. So we would say goodbye with blessings, with protection amulets. It's a great time of year to make your protection amulets, to reaffirm the words around your house. That's going to be part of this module. And create protection spells for your home, because the protection extends not just to colds and flus and accidents, but during the dark times of the year when we're doing our shadow work, reinforcing those wards, reinforcing all of those protective qualities of our homes, so that as we do our internal work, we're protected in that. So we're going to talk about ritual again. We're going to talk about the basics of ritual, casting our circle, creating our defensive perimeters and boundaries. This month, we're going to be creating protective amulets for our homes, learning how to make protective amulets for ourselves, our cars, our pets, and we're going to be doing an Ancestor Remembrance. Don't also forget that we have a harvest ritual to do at Pagan Pride. So that's going to be another piece that we're going to be doing together when we sit down on our apprenticeship day. That's Sunday the 30th. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely keep your ears to the ground. We've got a lot to cover this month. And I appreciate your patience with this app that still is not quite yet live. And we'll be going into our shadow work. If the app isn't live within the next, I don't know, probably a week, we'll probably just go ahead and launch it via Zoom and just call it good. But I'd really love to get us using the same platform that we'll continue with. Anyway, hopefully with Mercury retrograde it's lifted. But let's launch into our next module.